I have fallen off the same slide like twice, and then I fell on my left side first and busted open my elbow and my knee, and then I fell on my right side and busted open my elbow and my knee. So I have scars there, I have scars everywhere, but my most obvious scar at the moment would have to be this scar on my wrist. This particular scar is from my surgery that I had over the summer to remove a cyst in my wrist. I actually wrote a whole story about the cyst in my wrist because I thought it sounded like a Dr. Seuss book. You probably guessed. Today we are going to be talking about the significance of scars in fiction, what they tell us about characters, and how the physical representation of a life affects not only readers but people as a whole. Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Maya, and yeah, feel free to subscribe if you are new. Welcome back if you are returning. Today, as I mentioned, we will be talking about scars in fiction. Of course, the most obvious example of scars in fiction would revolve around the series we don't talk about anymore because the author is not nice on the internet. I've made an active decision not to discuss her or her creations on this channel anymore, so much as I can help it. But luckily for us, there are so many other examples of scars in fiction. Scars can represent a plethora of things, whether it be a character's destiny, the hardships they've faced. It can help identify a character who otherwise people didn't really know who they were.
This cannot be. I demand to know who you are. Who are you?
I am the king of Ithaca.
It can show the struggles of a character and the strength and beauty that emerged from said struggles. Really, there's such a variety of the way that scars are perceived and used as literary devices in character development in fiction. Not only will we be talking about tangible scars today, such as physical wounds, we'll also be talking about emotional scarring. But first, I want to talk about physical wounds, why they're so intriguing to readers, and why they have been a staple in fiction for so long. The first example of a significant scar in fiction was from The Odyssey by Homer. I did read The Odyssey in like 6th grade. I don't think I finished it, but yeah, it was an experience. I actually quite enjoyed it because that was like my Percy Jackson phase, you know, which I'm re-entering because Disney Plus is renewing my childhood left, right, and center. Within the Odyssey, Odysseus returns home from some sort of crazy adventure, and no one really recognizes him until someone sees a scar on his leg that is very distinctive to the hero. After seeing that scar, they're able to identify him and treat him as the king, the hero, I don't think he's a demigod, the character that he is. So yes, there were of course scars in traditional classic writing, in this case Greek or Roman mythology. However, scars are also present in subjects and genres such as historical fiction and even fantasy. A historical fiction example would have to be in Beloved. Within Toni Morrison's classic novel, Sethe is really brutalized in her experience as a slave, which results in a scarring on her back that's described as being like a tree of scars.
It's a tree, Lou. Your back got a whole tree on it. Chokecherry tree in bloom. See? Here's the trunk. It's spread and split wide open, full of sap, and branches. And darn if these ain't blossoms.
This is a result of whipping and incredible violence and cruelty, so it not only shows Sethe's struggles as an individual in a societal sense, but it also shows the strength and beauty that can emerge from struggle. The beauty of not only an individual, but of a people in this case.
The language just pares down. You don't get ornamental with that. You get very still, very clean-limbed, and very quiet.
Scars thus can be used to show not only human cruelty and the capacity we have to be hateful, but also the capacity we have to rise above that hate and to take our scars and take our pain and transform it into something powerful that will hopefully enact change in the world. Then a more modern example would have to be The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is a fantasy novel following a circus that appears at night in towns and is open from only dusk until dawn. However, the circus actually acts as a venue for the competition between our two main characters, Celia and Marco, who have been bound together in a game, in a duel, if you will, by magic rings that left scars on their respective fingers. These scars not only promised them to one another, not necessarily romantically, though that is the direction the book takes, but as competitors, but it also signifies the joint pain and suffering they both experienced to get to where they are in terms of their powers and the way that their magic has individually developed. Those scars can have very distinctive meanings to each individual character or story. They do share one thing, and this is, of course, in terms of physical scarring. They're tangible representations of a life lived. So wrinkles aren't scars, right? They're not scars, they're just collagen depleting from your skin and then wrinkles forming because the skin becomes looser as it's not heavily attached to fat or bone or whatever the heck skin is attached to. I guess I'll learn in AP Bio this year. However, though wrinkles aren't scars, I've always felt that they tell a sort of story, almost similarly to trees. Trees, of course, get rings for each year that they're alive, so you can see the history of a tree just by cutting it open. Of course, to see the history, you have to kill the tree. So don't do that. Luckily for humans, you can see their story and the lines etched on their face. There's no cutting open required whatsoever. But it's important to remember that we all exist within society. There is a society, and thus we are influenced by it. And I've always wondered how much each individual, specifically women, but it can apply to any individual, feels the need to change their appearance because of what society tells them. This is very evident in the film industry. Women are not really allowed to age. Men are. Men can have a film career spanning decades and generations, but it's a lot harder for a woman to stay relevant in the entertainment industry because society doesn't respect women unless they are youthful or beautiful, and that's very disappointing. Of course, this also has to do with Western beauty standards and Eurocentrism within our society.
But men tend to get more conservative because they gain power as they age, and women get more radical because they lose power as they age. So
anyway, similarly to wrinkles and signs of aging, scars tell a story. They are a visceral, physical map of where you've been, what you've experienced, the hardships you have overcome. And in that way, they are beautiful. They are a way for us to understand characterization on a more baseline, appearance-based way. Emotional scarring is another important thing to talk about when it comes not only to fiction, but actually to non-fiction. Here I think of the novel First They Killed My Father, which details a woman's experience in the Cambodian genocide. She was a young girl at the time and went on to write this memoir, which then of course became, I think, a Netflix adaptation? Not sure, directed by Angelina Jolie.
Aircraft carrier Okinawa.
Leong Eung's experience is chronicled within the novel First They Killed My Father. It shows not only the trauma she experienced, but the secondhand hardships she faced through the adults in her life. She also acted as a child soldier for quite some time in the Cambodian genocide, and that, of course, is another layer of emotional trauma. She lost her family, she was separated from them, she was super young, didn't really understand what was going on. Her life was pretty much just stripped from her in a day. Eung's emotional scars from the Cambodian genocide result in something I think is actually incredibly profound and beautiful. That is empathy. By detailing our emotional scarring and the hardships we've each individually gone through, no matter the level of said hardship, we're able to connect in a more humane way and promote the exchange of emotions and compassion and ultimately empathy. This can, of course, be found in fiction too. The example I think of first is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara, which details struggles with mental health and child abuse. It's incredibly difficult to read, if that gives you any indication of how much struggle and emotional trauma and scarring the characters in the novel faced. Emotional scarring is in no way a good thing, and I do not believe it should be used to progress plot points in stories. However, it is important that it exists in novels because it's something we all have. It's kind of a result, a side effect, a consequence, if you will, of life. Scars bring us together. We can all connect in some way to pain, to hardship, to struggle. Pain is, in a way, what builds us. We are made of what has built and broken us. Ultimately, pain is just as much a part of us as joy and triumph and sorrow, and although it can be counterproductive to focus just on pain, it would be irresponsible to ignore the amount of influence it has over who we become as people, how we morph and change and evolve throughout our lives. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you found it in some way educational, informative, fun, entertaining, etc. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite instance or the most impactful instance of a scar in fiction was to you. And if you have any fun scar stories, I'd love to hear those as well. I will see you all again on Tuesday, and until then, I hope you are well, and yeah, I will see you then. Bye-bye.